Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Corner brought to you by Vertical Football. Yeah, this is a show where we talk all things Chelsea. Yeah, and in this particular one, we want to talk about a particular player, yeah, in the person of Victor Osimhen. And it's just all about answering a question. Did Chelsea make the mistake of not signing Victor Osimhen when they had the opportunity to? So we will buttress this and just do our analysis on it, and then we'll come to a conclusion if it was actually a mistake or if it was not. So I've broken this down into three segments, and the first part is why did the deal not fall through, and the second part to talk about what Victor Osimhen would have brought into this team if the deal had fallen through, and now we go to the third part of answering the question: should Chelsea still go back into a deal for Victor Osimhen? So let's jump right into it. And before we do that, I just want to give a big shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for your support. For you, those who have subscribed, we're really grateful. And for those who are yet to, please kindly click the subscribe button and let's go right into it. This is Chelsea Fans Corner. Yeah, so let's answer the first question. Why did the deal not fall through in the first place? And I think we need to look at it from one or the clearest view that we believe could be the reason why the deal did not fall through, which is finance. And looking at it from an Osimhen's point of view, it came out in the news that his camp was asking for 15 million per year to sign the contracts, and some people claim it was rumor, but if that was the case, that puts us in a place where we have to pay him 500,000 per week. Yeah, 500,000 per week was his request according to reports. So looking at it from Osimhen's point of view, I believe personally that Osimhen asking for 500,000 pounds to sign for Chelsea is value for money. Yeah, looking at what this guy has done, looking at potential, like what he can still do, I think 500,000 pounds for his level of player, for his caliber, is not too much. Looking at what he has done in Napoli, looking at after the deal did not even fall through, looking at what he went on to do even in the 6 months at Galatasaray, the loan period, looking at what he went on to do is superb. It's superb for me. I think the level of that player, and if you are looking at level comparing apples to apple, I think you can compare Victor Osimhen to Erling Haaland. And now let's compare wages that this guy is asking to the player that we are comparing to him. If you look at Erling Haaland, I believe Erling Haaland should be earning around over 600,000 per week. Yeah, so if Osimhen is asking for 500,000 as at that time, I do not think it is too much. I think it is value for money. Now let's look at it from the Chelsea's point of view. I think the one thing, or one of the things that could have stopped this transfer from happening, was wage structure at Chelsea. Yeah, due to the fact that we have spent so money on wages, and even when players want to leave, when players want to leave, and when even coaches. And this wage structure thing is not just about players, it is about the players and the staff, because looking at Chelsea history, we have paid over 100 million plus just for the fact that when we lay off our coaches, we pay them off. And that's enormous amount of money. Why? Because we put them on a very high wages when we are signing them. So we tend to suffer for it when they are leaving the club, when their contracts are not out. So in a way to protect that, the club has come up with the idea of having a wage structure. This is the cap at which we can pay you, and this is a structure, and this is a way in which we will pay you. So now, what is the way in which Chelsea pay their player and their staff? It's called an incentive-based payment. So there is going to be a base salary or a base wages, or anyhow you want to call it. So let me call it a base salary. There's going to be a base salary, and then due to performance, you are going to get incentives that can come in monetary value or other values. Yeah, so that's the wage structure at Chelsea. So having a base, having a cap at which we pay people, just puts us in a place where you know that if Osimhen is asking for 500,000, we will not pay him that. We might offer him, because I was even hearing in the news at some particular point that Chelsea was offering Osimhen 150,000 as base salary, and then there is going to be incentive on top of the 150,000. I know from his camp, it feels like, no, that's not going to make sense, because even looking at the tax issue in the UK, because he's earning over 50,000, he has to pay 40% on his base salary. Then he gets, so that is just going to cut the money in a way like he might not get so much for at the end of the week when he's going to receive his payment. So it will not amount to so much from his viewpoint. But for Chelsea, it's protecting the book. And I look at this wage structure in this way. I say, in my viewpoint, it is a blessing and it is also a curse. Why is it a blessing? You having a wage structure makes you know how your financial health is. It saves you from FFP. You don't have to worry so much about that. It saves you from PSR. You don't have to worry about that. And there is one particular example that I always like to look at when I talk to people about wage structure. Is in the example of Modric. Mikhailo Modric, who we signed. We signed him from Shakhtar Donetsk, and everybody is all about it in the news that this is going to be a next big thing. Then all of a sudden, it comes to the club. Finding his feet was a struggle for him, and then the dopamine tests stuff came in. The doping test stuff came into play, and he is on ban for 4 years. Now, imagine a scenario where you brought this guy into the club, and because there is no wage structure, you say, we want to tie this player who can become a big team. We want to tie him down, and you are putting him on a £300,000 per week salary for the next 4 years, in which he's not going to be playing for the club. That means you are going to be coughing out around 55 million plus. But looking at the current situation as it stands at Chelsea, I think is earning around, I don't know, but let's use an example of 100,000 per week. So if he's earning 100,000 per week, that means he's going to be receiving in the next 4 years, even as he's not playing, what we are going to be paying him is something around 19 million. And I know that's a whole lot of money to be paying to somebody who is not playing, but you want to compare 19 million to 55 million. That is what the wage structure does for you. It saves you from the unforeseen circumstances. So you cut your losses. Instead of paying the losses in full, you have cut them to a minimal, like an affordable amount. And that's one thing why it saves us. That's why one of the things why I can count it as a blessing. But let's look at it from the part where we think it is a cost. So the wage structure can be a cost in the sense that there are levels of player that your club can attract. Yes. So when you hear something like Kylian Mbappe to Chelsea, from the wage structure perspective, just cancel it out in your mind that it is impossible, because this club has a cap of how they want to pay you. And you know that this level of player are always high earners. I think, let me not even go deep into the Kylian Mbappe issue. Even somebody as old as Harry Kane, when he wants to come to your club, because of the wage structure, you know you will not bring these people will not come, because as much as they are hungry for the football, they are hungry to play. That's the main goal. That's the initial idea. They still need to make money that is equivalent to what they bring to the club. Yeah. So I think that's one of the issue why the Osimhen deal did not fall through. The wage structure, the amount is demanding for, and the amount that Chelsea as in the idea, like, this is what we want to pay you and this is how we want to pay you. And let's go into the second thing, which I believe is timing. Yeah, we were sluggish in the deal. It was like we were trying to explore different options, and the best report that we got was from the Obi-Wan podcast, because at one point, John Mikel Obi, like he said, he was acting as an agent for Osimhen and for Chelsea, being that guy as the mediator who is listening to what Chelsea has and who is listening to what Osimhen wants. So that was the news that we got from the closest source, and he was saying the player and the club agreed fee. The player and the club agreed a whole lot of things, but there were a little bit of things in the paperwork that they did not get an agreement on. And that was why the deal did not fall through. So these are just the two perspectives that we can bring together from the financial parts and the paperwork parts on why the deal did not work through. So now let's go into the second part. Let's buttress that, which is what would this guy have brought into the team if the deal fell through? And the number one obvious one is goal scoring. You cannot deny that. You just cannot take it away from this guy. And one thing I say about Osimhen is I always like to compare. I like to compare when I speak about the Osimhen thing and the players that Chelsea went on to get. Chelsea went on to get Liam Delap to fix that profile. And what you find out is to define Liam Delap, you say he's a potential goal scorer. Yeah. But when you are speaking about Osimhen, you are saying he is a proven goal scorer. With Liam Delap, you are looking at let's go into the season and let's put you on a cap of give us 10 goals and then we see what you can do going forward in the season. But with people in the class of Osimhen, you cannot be 10 goals is undermining his ability. So you're asking for at least give us 15 goals as a minimum, then just keep on building on that. But as a minimum, we're asking for 15 goals from you. And this guy has showed us that he's capable of that. He's capable of scoring goals. He's capable of delivering in numbers on a consistent basis for a long period of time. And I was looking up into his stats and I found out the worst season of Osimhen since he came into Lights, and I'm talking about since 2019 when he joined Lille in Ligue 1, is 13 goals and assists in 30 matches in the Italian Serie A for Napoli in 2020-2021. That's his worst season ever. 13 GA in 30 goals in all competition. That's his worst season ever. So this guy is telling you this is a proven goal scorer. This is a guy who is a poacher. This is a guy who, when he gets in front of goals, he does not necessarily need 5 chances to convert one, which is something that Chelsea has suffered. We tend to have people in that position who needs 2, 3, 4, 5 chances before they score one goal. And I think when we're speaking about what he brings into the team, is goal scoring, pure goal scoring ability. And Osimhen is not just a goal scorer. Osimhen is an elite goal scorer. So the second thing I would say is he gives us as a Chelsea fan, there's something we call the Drogba edge. Yeah, the Drogba edge. And I can even tag it together and say the Drogba Costa edge. As a Chelsea fan, there is a view that we have of what our 9 profile should look like. And that has been defined by 2 characters that I mentioned. Yeah, is Didier Drogba and Diego Costa. That's like the profile of 9 that Chelsea works with. That's like the profile that Chelsea works with. And you're looking at what this guy brings into it. I think the first thing is character. And the second thing is intimidation. When you look at these 2 guys, you look at most especially Drogba. Drogba is not that guy who gives you 30 goals every season. But when you're talking about strong character, when you're talking about willingness to play football, when you're talking about showing up in the difficult time, showing up in the big games, that's DJ Drogba. And I can't really say, probably from the time I started to watch Chelsea on a consistent basis, that should be around 2005, when I started to watch on a consistent basis, I can't really say, looking at the kind of or the level of strikers that were present at those points in time in other clubs, I can't really say there was somebody close to that character of Drogba when we are talking about striker. And I know for people that have been watching older than the time that I started, they can come up with names. I'm open to objections, but from my own viewpoint, you look at Arsenal, I don't even know which striker, probably Van Persie in that era till 2013 when Drogba left. Van Persie, good goal scorer, good on the ball, good technical ability. But when you're talking about the character, I don't think he comes close to Drogba. When we go to Manchester United, are you looking at Wayne Rooney, Carlos Tevez, These are players of good quality, but you know that character, even they can testify to it. I don't think they come close. You go to Man City, Liverpool. Yeah, in Liverpool, we had Fernando Torres. You had Fernando Torres, very technical guy, good goal scorer, flares, flexible on the ball. But when it comes to character, Drogba is still that guy. I don't think Torres stands close to Drogba. So that character, and we saw the same thing in Diego Costa, just that there is a little bit of bad habit into his, or bad character into his. Like, he can be arrogant, he can be that guy who wants to go and fight in unnecessarily, but that's like the profile that Chelsea want. And you bring Osimhen and try to fit him into this shoe, and you find out that he fits him perfectly. He's a fighter, he's a warrior, he intimidates defender. He is that guy who no defender wants to play against. I bet you. So I think these two things he brings into the club. The first thing, like I said, is an elite goal scorer. The second thing is, how do I put it here? The second thing is the Drogba and Costa edge. And just to speak about currently in the Chelsea squad, and I think looking at our issues of low block, I think Osimhen even brings, he definitely will bring something to help us solve that problem to a good level. Yeah. And why do I say that? You're looking at a Chelsea team who struggles against low block. And when you're struggling against low block, look at Haaland in those seasons where Man City were performing so well, when they were winning the league consistently. He's always that guy where when the push comes to shove, Man City just start pulling across from people like Riyad Mahrez. They just start pulling across Kevin De Bruyne, just finding crosses into the post. And all Erling Haaland will just do is find a jump to kick the ball, or find a job to use his head to put the ball at the back of the net. And with Victor Osimhen, you know he does that. You just know he does that. It's eye test. You don't need to go and look for stats to back that up. It's eye test. He does that perfectly. His area ability is one of the best in world football in current times. The way he jumps, his timing, his ruggedity in the box, if ruggedity is a word, is the way he bullies defender. You know, like against low block, when everything is feeling tight, is that guy who you can be sending the crosses into and can get something out of it. And it's just even evidence that you are looking at Chelsea when we get on the left hand side or the right hand side and we are pulling crosses, because we don't have that presence of somebody who is aerial ability is so good. We tend to send our crosses far wide so that it gets to a player who is arriving late. But if the presence of a profile like Osimhen is there, you can be sending your cross into the center and also have the option to be sending it far wide. So it brings a whole lot of things into this club. Now let's go into the last part, which is, should Chelsea go for Victor Osimhen? Should Chelsea still go for Victor Osimhen? Let's look at it from two standpoints. From an emotional standpoint, I think the answer is obvious. And what do you think my answer is? I think the answer is just yes. It's yes, yes, yes. From an emotional standpoint, you want a guy of that level in your club. You want to see somebody who is a focal point, which I feel like is something Chelsea misses. Yeah, Osimhen is a focal point. You look at Chelsea, our goals are spread across, and even in the previous season, 2 seasons ago, it's not coincident that our highest goal scorer is our attacking midfielder when we have strikers. So with the presence of Osimhen, you have a focal point, somebody that when push comes to shove, you can just the quest can just be get the ball to Osimhen and it will get you goals. Like, you can be certain, get the ball to Osimhen and it will get you goals. So from an emotional standpoint, I think yes, go for this guy. Do what you need to do and bring him into the club. But from a logical standpoint, I'm not going to say no, but I'm going to give us a list of things that we have to consider. And the first thing is the effect of breaking this wage structure. And we just have to always go back to the wage structure. What's the effect of breaking when you bring Victor Osimhen into the club? Definitely you have to break the wage structure. Then what is the effect of breaking this wage structure? The effect is breaking the wage structure is as close to like breaking the dressing room, because other guys will come knocking to ask for a pay rise, definitely, because we know like this is the culture of the club. Then because of one guy, you break it because you know what he can bring. Then you look at other people who are performing so well in their position. They definitely will have to think about it. Yeah, human. If this guy is getting this amount because he's doing this, I look at my role. What am I doing? Oh, what I'm doing is something that the club does not want to miss. I go knocking on your door and I ask for a pay rise, and that just causes chaos all over the place, because now this one wants to get a pay rise because this guy has come in, that one will want to get, and it just keep moving around. And to some extent, I don't like to use this issue. I don't know deep down if that's what happened. You look at the Mason Mount scenario at Chelsea, asking for a particular amount, like the report said, or rumor, and the best way we could think about it was it was a time where Rich James just renewed his contract and he went from, I think, around 70,000 or 50,000 to 250,000 in wages. And then when it got to Mason Mount's period, Chelsea was offering less, and he was saying he needed to get £250,000. So when you bring in somebody, break the wage structure, you have to know that your other best players, your other good players that have potential will come knocking on the door and ask for a pay rise. And this is something you want to avoid because of the chaos it can cause. And the other thing is transfer. It just goes back to money, money, money. Transfer. Looking at that point in time, if we had wanted to get Victor Osimhen seriously, we would have paid the 75 million Galatasaray paid. Yeah, I believe we would have paid, because I don't think transfer fee was a problem for Chelsea, because after the deal did not fall through, we still went on into the transfer market and spent around 600,000 in euros, 600 million rather in euros on transfer from that period to this moment. So I don't think transfer fee is going to be a problem at that point in time. But now that he has left the club that he was in, he has gone to Turkey, he's building a new career there, he's continuing his career there, he's doing well, he's scoring goals, and he's getting used to the fans, and the fans is getting used to him, he's getting used to the club, and the club is getting used to him. To pull him out of that kind of an environment, you have to pay the price, and the price, I believe, is going to be an enormous amount of money. And if we are comparing apples to apples, you are looking at the amounts that players are being signed. Look at the likes of Ugo Ekitike, even Chelsea signing João Pedro for 60 million, signing Isak for 100 million plus, Florian Wirtz for 120 or 50 million. Like, to get somebody in the level of Osimhen at this point in time, you have to break the bank. And when you are breaking the bank, at this point that Chelsea is in at this point, it's a dangerous thing to do because of things like FFP, because of things like PSR. So that two things are things that you will consider: the effect of breaking the wage structure, and also the transfer fee that you have to pay. And the last thing to consider is what happens to the players that we have gotten. Because after those period, we have gotten João Pedro, we have Liam Delap, there is Tim Magui there is Nicholas Jackson on loan at Bayern Munich, who, as things are going, as we are seeing, there's a high tendency that he comes back to the club, because there is a clause: if he does not play some certain amount of game, his contract is not going to be activated for him to be bought to Bayern Munich. So what happens to this player, and most especially to Liam Delap, most especially to Magui? These are young guys who just committed their future to the club. We bought Liam Delap from Ipswich, 30 million, and we have given him around, I think, a 7-year contract. He has committed himself to the club for 7 years. So what happens to this guy if he goes on a loan? If he performs, somebody might come up to pay, but what if we don't get anywhere to push him to? What happens to the growth of somebody like Magui? Because Osimhen is coming into your club, everybody is getting benched in that position for him to go into the number one position. So it's a chaos that you don't want to get yourself involved in from a logical point of view. From an emotional standpoint, bring him in. From a logical point of view, you have to think about the effect of breaking the wage structure. You have to think about the transfer fee, and you also have to think about the other guys that we have gotten in this period of time that we did not get this guy. So guys, these are just the three things, and these are the viewpoints that we need to see this thing from. So I think I have laid the whole thing down in your presence. It's now up to you guys to, what do you think? That's my own question now. What do you think? And I would like you to look at it from two perspectives. Do you think, and I would like you to put it in the comment section. Do you think it was a mistake that we did not get this guy, given the whole breakdown and analysis of how the thing went? Do you think it's a mistake that we did not bring Victor Osimhen into the club? And also, do you think we should still go back to get Victor Osimhen? So thank you very much, guys, for sticking with us. We really appreciate, like I've said, we really appreciate your efforts for staying with us till this time. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done that. Till we see you some other time. Namaste.